led by, it's the same type of people who are leading these kind of demonstrations all over the world. They want to change everything, get rid of everything, and whatever. Okay, we can talk about it.
Yeah, that'll do. That's enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think, Ajahn, are you there, Ajahn? Sawadee ka,
Yes, Sawadee.
I think we can
start.
Swadika.
Swadee ka, Ajahn.
Yes.
สวัสดีอาจารย์ครับ
Okay. Nina, would you like to start with anything or anyone?
Yes, please go on.
Ajahn, you said without the paramis, it is impossible to understand what is hidden all the time. I think it's helpful for many if you could elaborate a little on this. It's very useful subject.
She's probably...
Please go on.
Nina, could you just repeat your question, because I think some people didn't hear it properly.
Yes,
kind of muffled.
So Ajahn said, without the paramis, it is impossible to understand what is hidden all the time. I think it's helpful for many people if Ajahn could elaborate a little on this subject.
Okay. What is that panya? Better understand now. We talk about panya, understanding, but understand what?
Reality now.
So, is it easy to understand that as yourself?
Not easy at all.
So it takes time. And what about when there is not a moment of kusala? It is moment of akusala. Is that right?
That is right, yes.
So can kusala moment understand reality right now?
Not without panya.
And when there is akusala in the day, it comes from avijja, not understanding the true nature of what is there, right?
That's right, yes.
So in a day, when there are more and more akusala, can there be moment to understand the teachings, the reality now? That's why seeing the danger of akusala, which is conditioned by avijja all the time, the only reality which can lessen the avijja is right understanding. Because right now, who knows what moment is avijja and moment is not. Even that is not known, see? So it's very difficult to understand the truth. That's why without hearing, considering with sattva and other wholesome cetasikas as parami, it's impossible to understand the truth of what is there now. That's why there must be virya. See, it takes time, quite a long, long time. But if there is no moment of understanding, no matter how much kusala is there, it cannot lead to understanding what is now at all. So seeing that the truth is very difficult to understand, but it can understand by hearing more, listening more, considering more of the truth of this moment. It can bring about understanding little by little. And just only the moment of understanding can lessen the ignorance. So it takes time, but from understanding correctly, that is conditioned for virya to go on listening and considering, no matter how long it takes to understand what is now and here. So we don't just, I would like to rush to understand the truth. No I at all. And that is the beginning of understanding Dhamma. No I, so what are there? Buddha taught everything about what is there in a moment, in one's life, from moment to moment, to be known and considered actually that cannot be taken for self at all, because a very short moment and then another short moment, not the same. So where's the I? They're all conditioned realities, that's all. Just understand this firmly, and then it will bring more what we call parami, is viriya and kanti and satya and adidana and all other parami. It are there together. Is there anything more about parami to be known as not self? Without them, without viriya to listen to the truth, to consider, and it develops from understanding little by little, no one there which can make anything arise at all, or a conditioned reality. And now it is parami, viriya, to listen, to consider, to understand little by little, with satya parami, to be truthful to the truth of reality right now as it is, as not self. And resolution, atidana, never change from this moment and try to do something or to understand the other moment. But what is now is not the previous one. It doesn't matter at all as long as it's there to be known as it is. So each one is not self, no body, no one in it, but it's there by conditions. Little by little, this is understanding, which is parami. To understand that this moment can be understood little by little as not self. That which is seen is so short, so very rapidly, from moment to moment. It cannot be anything at all, only that, a reality which can impinge on the eye there. So seeing arises to see it as just only that very short which appears at the moment of seeing. That's all. No one, no thing. From moment to moment, it forms up the idea of shape and things all around as something that we used to take it for, tree or I or friend or whatever. But actually, only a moment cannot be two moments together at all. And that moment is gone completely. Each moment is gone now, see? And this can be enlightened, but not from I try so hard, so much, but it from understanding that this is this visible object is only that which is seen, and hearing is another reality which can be heard. That's all. And then everything is gone. Is that true or not? Learn to understand the truth, that's all. Don't mind cling to the idea, oh, I understand this, or I don't understand that. I still have little understanding. That is still I. But never mind at all, because there is no one who can do anything at all. But understanding is conditioned by considering the truth which is heard from the teachings of the Buddha, who enlightened the truth of everything. So he taught us to understand the truth as actually there are only different dhammas, no one there at all. Arises and falls away, never to return, nothing is left. So what's the purpose of just arising and falling away? No one there at all. Like the fire in the forest, the lightning and everything which is conditioned just to arise and then fall away.
I find it very helpful that you said that virya helps to go on listening and considering, but still we are inclined to take it for my virya. We often forget in daily life the paramis.
Because virya does not show up or appear as object of panya yet. So it has to be I. That which is heard, but it does not appear for panya to realize the truth of it. It's object of doubt and cling to have something. For example, we talk about viriya, but it seems that someone or I having viriya now or doing something with viriya, but actually viriya itself does not appear even it's there. But from hearing, listening to the teaching carefully, no I, but what are there? So many things like citta and cetasikas together, but only one can be object of that very moment. And it depends on how much understanding is there. If there is no hearing, no considering, no understanding at all, it is avijja, not knowing what is said, always what is said, even it's there. So it's only hearing the truth and understand that actually it cannot be taken for anything because it's different from the others by conditions to arise and fall away instantly. So no selection to have such and such as object at all depends on conditions. It's reality that should be developed in order to be firm and firmer until even pariyatti is so keen that nothing can be taken for self. But that's not enough because it's not yet as the direct awareness of just one reality at a time, while there are others among in the beginning. So very short moment of direct awareness is very short and the panya is very little. But even if that it's not there, there is no way to understand it clearer and clearer as it is. Even direct awareness arises to be aware of whatever is not known yet now until it's there by conditions. No selection. Can there be direct awareness of breath? But it's not the moment of trying to catch it, to have it as the object. That is atta, and the attana. And the anatta is no selection. It depends on conditions. What would be the object of panya, which arises with direct awareness, beginning to understand the truth, the actual reality, not just the word, not just the term we are used to, like viriya and so on.
Ajahn, I'd like to bring up the word clear more because, like you just mentioned, Panya understands clearly. And earlier, last time we were talking about how every chitta is clear, Pandara, a slightly different meaning. And also, often we talk about Saddha and how it makes the chitta clear and clean. It has purifying as its characteristic. Would you say a little more about clear in these different contexts?
Just the word clear. Does any object appear clear enough now?
No, only when it's only clear when Panya is of the level of Vipassana Jnana. Only then is it really clear.
Yeah, so we begin to understand what is clear and what is not clear. Just listen to the word I sense, a visible object or seeing. They do not appear clear, but they are there. See? So clear means with panya. Without panya, it cannot be as it is at all. It is something all the time because it arises and falls away so very rapidly. So how can anything experience it clearly? It has to be just panya of that level, which is not just intellectual understanding, pariyatti. But without pariyatti, no conditions for sati to arise directly with understanding of any reality right now. See? So when we talk about hardness, hardness does not appear. And when we talk about hardness and hardness is there, is it clear?
only when understanding has been developed and is very firm.
So we understand what it's meant by clearly, but that is not direct awareness with right understanding. So the difference is that the sati at level of intellectual understanding is not like sati, which is directly with understanding. Otherwise, it cannot be direct to the object at all. Never. Because there can be just sati at moment of understanding the story, the word, the term only. But when a moment is there, which is directly aware of a reality by conditions, it has to be by conditions to bring more and more confidence on anatta, that everything, when it's known clearer and clearer, it needs the understanding. Without it, it cannot be clear. So at moment when it's the first of the beginning, sati sampajanya, it's not as clear, right?
Right. And so only when Panya knows clearly, then Sada, which accompanies it, purifies in the sense of discarding the hindrances and purifies the citta. So it's the same pure that is referred to. Is that correct?
But I think that we go just a little far. What about from moment to moment like now, that when it's direct awareness with understanding, which is conditioned by intellectual understanding, at that moment when it's directly aware of a reality, for example, hardness, when there's no understanding, it's my leg or something. Even hardness is hardness, hardness, not understanding that it's only arising and falling away. So no understanding of it at all as it is. And when there is intellectual understanding, there is the understanding of the difference between intellectual understanding and direct awareness and understanding. This is beginning. See, while the intellectual understanding, it develops so far as to it can condition direct awareness, even very shortly and very little, not so many in the beginning. But that is different from intellectual sati. See, but panya, one knows that it's very little. Even lots of intellectual understanding is there to condition movement of direct awareness. But panya, learn to understand it takes time too, because it's different. We can talk much about reality without direct awareness, but at moment of direct awareness, the panya which has developed can begin to understand the characteristic of reality as very little, as it is not under anyone's control at all, because it's there by conditions, and so very little, not many or not much at all of the understanding. So it knows that without the direct awareness, panya of that degree cannot develop, because it just experience or understand the difference between direct awareness and intellectual awareness or understanding of awareness. By then, panya knows how little, so very little, and it's different from moment of when there's no direct awareness. From then on, panya begins to understand what moment is direct awareness and what moment is not direct awareness, and with much or less understanding. So panya knows the truth, and so it knows that so very natural, as usual, uncontrollable, depending on conditions only, so that panya of the other higher understanding can develop. Because you see that we cannot know what degree, what level of panya and direct awareness can arise at what time or of what object. But having confidence and firm understanding of no self, no one, no thing, all by conditions, can condition the moment of direct awareness with an object which we never known before that it would be such object. It can be anything depending on condition, but how much panya is there? See? Because that is clearer than when it's intellectual understanding, but it's not as clear as when it's vipassana jnana. And how come to be vipassana jnana? It doesn't mean that there is no understanding at that moment, but it means that whatever appears as it is clearer because panya understand it as not self. So even just the word clear, it depends on the degree of right understanding, intellectual understanding, or with direct awareness, or with level of panya. That's why no expectation for when will there be the vipassana jnana, the first or the second or the third or so forth, because it depends on conditions. Like Sariputta, how many moments developed from life to life, from time to time, unknown at all, until the conditions is right enough to condition such understanding from hearing the words from Pante Asachi. See? No expectation from not being a sotapanna at all, and then panya of that degree with the rapidity of the succession of the vipassana jnana. Who knows? So just develop understanding, no expectation of when, because it's beyond control when it's there, so unexpectedly, anattaness. So no doubt about anatta, that no one can do anything at all. All depends on conditions. And the panya, which arises with direct awareness, which is not vipassana jnana, and the panya, which is vipassana jnana, what is clearer? See? While satipatthana can arise on and off with the other realities around, because it just arises there, even a moment or many moments, but not as clear yet, until it appears like pop up. In Pali term, I couldn't remember the Pali term, umang, something like that, umangka. See? It means that nothing there, and just that pop up as object of right understanding, and how much understanding is there, depending on conditions. But all are anatta, nothing there. It is clearer than when it is satipatthana or direct awareness. In the beginning of satipatthana, it's just like we're talking about a person or many persons which do not appear yet, didn't show up yet, but one day when it's there, panya knows it's that what one has heard about it, and it depends on how much understanding is there enough to be vipassana jnana or not, or just the difference between satipatthana and the intellectual understanding. Panya knows correctly, perfectly. It cannot be changed or different from at that very moment with panya at such moment, at such level. So the word clear has many meanings. Now it seems like everything so clear at moment of seeing with good eyesight or something like that, but no panya, so it cannot be as clear because other things around are there until nothing at all, only that one. See, by conditions, it is much clearer than any moment of when it's not vipassana jnana. And now, shall we go on to sattha? If there's no questions.
Yes, please.
Is that sattha now, again, like other realities, they are the unknown until Buddha taught about each reality is there as it is, which is not known yet because it does not appear to be the object. of experiencing or sati. So at moment, we can try to think about the characteristic of a reality, which is sattva. At that moment when there is no lopa, dosa, moha, no akusala at all, citta is clear. So there are many wholesome sopana cetasika arising together, but one is that which is clear itself and makes the others cetasika clear too. See? Unthinkable, impossible to know when it does not appear. And can it appear? Depending on conditions, only that. Who knows to whom, when, and what level, see? But there must be a characteristic which is so clear because akusala cannot arise, because of that reality arises with other wholesome cetasikas, not just alone. But they are different because that which conditioned the others to be clear is there as a reality, which Buddha used the term satta, clear from akusala. Each cetasika has its proper function and characteristic, but as nama, no shape, no form at all, it's there so close to the other reality, but they are not the same, see? So as much as we can understand is that the moment when there's no loba, dosa, moha, and no akusala, citta there is clean and clear from akusala, that's all. And while the other sopana cetasika perform its function, its own function, not the other's function. Like sati is there, alopa is there, adosa is there, amoha is there, and hiri and otapa, see, they arise together just in a moment, only a moment, and then falls away, and the other moment, depending on conditions for what are there, as different cetasikas, and citta is the chief of experiencing the object, that is its function. That's why no matter what object is, citta experience is as a chief to experience the characteristic of the object, no matter whether it is nibbana or whatever.
When I hear the word confidence, I'm inclined to confuse it with loba, because I feel safe and secure when I hear the word confidence, but I know it's wrong, because it can only be with the sobana cetasikas.
So what about moment when you hear the word anatta? Is it true? Is it real?
Yes.
So firmly or not firm yet?
Not firm.
Not firm, a little confidence or more, or very strong confidence.
Very little.
So you understand what it's meant, because we cannot use any word to represent the truth of reality so clear, because it's impossible. Because even at moment of when it's there, no word, but the characteristic is there to be directly experienced as it is, as not self. So what word should be that which can help the understanding of that as it is, different ones, one by one, see? Only direct experience. And we use the term Buddha used, but we have to understand the characteristic which is not self. Otherwise, it's wrong. Then it's not self, because it has its own characteristic, which appear at that moment when it appears, no word, but the understanding is there, which understand that characteristic because it shows up. as it is, no one there at all.
Earlier, Ajahn, you said that having confidence, sada, can condition the direct understanding of a reality. And we've also been discussing how sada is that which is clear from akusala, that which purifies. So can we just say that sada, or that which purifies, is the condition for that understanding?
Because you see that at moment of understanding, it cannot be just understanding itself. It needs other realities to support or to be conditioned for it to understand better and better too. Like there must be sati, see. If sati is not there, no understanding of anything at all. Just passed on without understanding or knowing the truth or the characteristic better or clearer at all. So sati is that which is, we don't know any word better, only sometimes you use the word God, the doorway, and so on. But sati is that which is aware of a characteristic which is there, but not panya. It just be aware for panya to understand it. If it is not there, no awareness, can panya understand that? Impossible. So sati is not panya, but it's needed. It has to go with panya. It has to support. It has to arise. Without sati, can there be panya?
No.
But there can be
I'm
sati
just
without
thinking
panya. See, so very, very details, very, very fine to understand from here to there, from this to that, little by little, until the idea of self get just very little eliminated.
I'm just
So no
thinking of Nina's
expectation.
comment
The
about
words of the teachings just condition how panya to know the truth, how much understanding is there, or just very little understanding. It has to be more developed.
I'm just thinking of Nina's comment
Yes, to
about
understand that there is
confidence.
no self. This is the point.
Because
Please
on the
consider.
point about confidence, it seems that if we say confidence or that which makes clear or that which purifies, it seems like different aspects. So when there is development of understanding, development of kusala, there's more and more firm confidence in what is good, what is right. But the function or the aspect of purifying seems different from the aspect of confidence.
When we use the term confident, we don't mean just satta. We mean the confidence of the truth. It means the panya, which develops more. So the confidence of the truth is more. And all realities are there, not just only satta, which is more confidence on the truth, but that which is clear from akusala is satta. And when panya is there, it is that which knows what's right and what's wrong, and satta of the truth. I don't know what words should be used.
Yes, I'm also thinking that the proximate cause that's often given for confidence is the triple gem as objects worthy of confidence. So it has to be with the understanding in order for it to be that proximate condition.
That's why the right way, the right path is satipatthana, not even sattapatthana or viriyapatthana, only satipatthana. See, even there are other kusala, wholesome cetasikas there as support, as supporting factors of reality. But without sati, it's impossible for panya to develop. Each has its own characteristic, and it's there by condition, support each other or condition each other.
I have something I don't quite understand. You said confidence is not just sada, so it's more. So I did not quite get it.
Okay. Are you sure that the truth is that there is no self? Are you sure?
Not sure.
Are you sure? Yes.
I'm a beginner, so not sure.
Yes.
Only
But can
intellectual understanding.
when there's more understanding, you have more confidence on surer that it has to be no self at all. The truth is no self, no one. More than just hear the first time about no self, anatta, you don't know what and how much is that meaning. But when you learn more, understand more confidence or sure more and more and more about the truth. Is that satta? Because it's not panya. Panya understands, so make it sure, better and better. A reality. See? Like Passa and Vitaka, see? Everything has the same object, but different functions. Every reality experiences the same object at once, but different function.
So when you say, can you make seeing arise? No, nobody can. It makes it a little clearer that there is no self.
And are you sure?
A beginner only, so a beginner cannot be sure.
Who is sure more than you or anyone? Sotapanna, more than the Putuchana, right? Right? Because of Panya.
Yes.
So Panya is a reality and Sattva is another reality. Without Panya, there can be Sattva, which at that moment no akusala, only at that level, see? But it's not good, it's not wholesome as much as there is more and more understanding. So I think that it's not a matter of trying to understand more than this because of Panya is not that degree, but there can be the understanding of so many realities unknown until it's there. And as object, no doubt about it. But first of all, there must be the understanding of the difference between the characteristic of that which experiences and that which cannot experience. Otherwise, the self is there as the experience, and sometimes as that which is not experienced, as me or mine. Begin
Yes,
to understand little by little and know what can be known and what cannot be known by conditions, not by anyone allow or try to have it.
last time you made it clear that if you want to know the difference between kusala and akusala, it's not possible unless one nama is known as nama and rupa as rupa, and that they are different. So we should not try to know the difference.
No I, but it's impossible because the idea of I is very down, deep in the mind. As anusya, it's there as germs of all this kind of disease. So only panya, which is different from ignorance, this is the beginning of seeing reality as different one. Panya is understanding the truth of what is now. That which cannot understand is that which cannot understand. Different, opposite realities. No self, no one. This is the point of listening to the truth. No I, no permanent thing, only a conditioned reality, very, very small, very, very tiny, just arise and falls away in split seconds, unknowingly, but appears as something by nimitta. And panyati, make known as this and that, different one, table and people and things. We live in the world of nimitta until hearing, listening carefully to the teachings and begin to understand intellectually. But what is truth can be directly experienced, but higher level of panya, with the understanding of no self, as long as there is still so very thick and firm on the idea of self, reality cannot appear as it is because the idea of self is there. Or something is there. The truth is this moment of seeing, see, so very deep to understand the truth. What is what? There are two things, but right understanding and can understand the difference between the two. Seeing is one. That which is seen is not seeing. See? Even now cannot be clearly known yet because so many things appear together around. So how can that be known quite clear when or while there are so many things around until just one, and one depending on conditions, one at moment of direct awareness in the beginning and later and more understanding and more detachment from clinging until another level of panya is there because of have less and less ignorance, which hinders the truth of reality right now because of the rapidity of the flux of the arising of all dhammas, all dhatus. So it's very hard, very difficult, but it can be object of understanding when understanding is more and less attachment and ignorance. No self at all. So life goes on smoothly if there is the idea or confidence on no self, no one at all. Or we can say more satta because of panya, more panya. They go together.
On this point, Ajahn, you mentioned, like Nina picked up on, that confidence doesn't just mean sada, but it means sada and panya. So if we're talking about confidence in the truth now, of course it means panya with sada, but we know that sada arises with all sobhana citas, so at moments of generosity or metta without any understanding, there is sada. Is the word confidence misleading there then? Because no confidence in the truth, but just confidence in kusala at that moment, those moments.
I really don't know the word, or I cannot find any word which suits the reality as it is. But as we try to understand the difference between satta and panya, as much as we know is that satta is in the moment of when there is no lopa, dosa, moha, no akusala of any class or any thing at all. So at moment of no lopa, no akusala, it's clear, just clear. See, we can use the word clear. Clear in the sense of that
clear
not
and purifies
tainted
that
by akusala at all. See, But it's not panya because just that cannot understand the reality, the truth of whatever is there. But when there is panya, the clearness of sattha get more and more together with panya. See, the more panya, the more sattha. But it does mean that the more sattha without panya, there can be more panya. So sattha is one reality and panya is another reality.
And we can say the more panya, the more confidence, the more
Right.
confidence in the truth.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ajahn. It's all been very helpful. Thank you.
That's why when we come to the word Sotapanna has more sattha than Puthujana, we understand what condition such sattha never change.
Sarah, can I ask a question?
Please.
Last week, I heard you say that you asked the question, is Chetasika Pandara? Because Chitta is Pandara, it's pure, but Chetasika is not Pandara. Could you explain why Chetasika is not Pandara? It's not pure, even though we have pure Chetasikas like Sada and like the Subhana Chetasikas. They are pure, but they're not Pandara.
Okay. For example, attachment also experience the object, but the object is so known well to Chitta clearer than Cetasikas because its function is just to experience the characteristic. So who knows more, who experience more, just experience the object must be Chitta, not Cetasika, because Cetasika also share the same object. But it's not the chief because it has its own characteristic and its own function. Sometimes it is compared to like the cook and the helpers who can taste the food, but not as the king or the owner of the food or the owner of the house, not the cook. See, who eats more, who tastes more, they just taste a little, but the king or the owner just take it as much as one likes as possible. So we just talk about the experiencing. The function of experiencing object must be Chitta, the chief of experiencing. So it brings about different levels of Cetasikas.
I understand. Thank you. Thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah, but excuse me. No matter what object it's, Chitta is the chief, the Pandara, because Chitta itself cannot be unwholesome or wholesome at all.
And there's another word that you raised last week, Papasara?
Yes, because this is different from Pandara.
Yes.
Pandara means only Chitta, not including Cetasikas at all. But Papasara means the moment of Chitta, which is Pavanga and Kusala. It's radiant because of Cetasikas, which arise with it when it experiences an object. But when it's just Pavanga, nothing there, nothing can disturb. So it's not the Pandara because we talk about Chitta and Cetasika together when we talk about Pavanga. But Chitta is that which performs the function of experiencing, no matter in Pavanga or when it experiences the object through any doorway.
So what is the meaning, the definition of Papasara?
When it's tainted with Akusala Cetasika, it is not Papasara.
I see.
It's impure.
Papasara is undisturbed by the object.
Any object through the sense door and mind door, because it experiences the same object as Patisanti Chitta.
Right.
Usually it's translated as luminous or radiant.
Yeah. In the post last week, you talked about the mind. We talk about the mind, and one meaning of this is the reality which experiences. So we can call seeing the mind because it experiences a reality. We can call Chetasikas the mind because they experience reality. But we also have a different meaning, the mind door. And I think Ajahn talked about photocopying, that the mind kind of is like a photocopy of the reality which experience. So what do we mean by the mind door? When we have a process through the mind door, what can we say is happening then? Because it's not thinking, is it? It's more than thinking. And it's not...
There are many mind door processes, right? But the first mind door after sense door must be that which experienced the photocopy, not thinking about story or shape and form yet.
What it
And
means,
who
Alan, is the visible object, for example, that was experienced through the eye door and has fallen away. Its exact replica is experienced through that first mind door process, exactly the same. No one can distinguish if visible object appears. No one knows if it's through the eye door, mind door. It doesn't make any difference because it's the exact replica. And then after that, photocopy or replica is experienced through the mind door process. Afterwards, in the later mind door processes, there's the experience of the shape, form, the color, the idea, the impression, and so on.
Right. So
it's not the chitta, the mind, that's the replica or photocopy, but the object, the visible object, the object experienced through that mind door process. It's the exact replica of the object experienced through the sense door process. So the visible object itself has completely fallen away, but its replica or photocopy is experienced through the first mind door process.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
I think the word mind is just a translation of mano or chitta, and it can be confusing because seeing is chitta or mano, hearing is chitta or mano. Chitta and mano mean just the same, so mind is just a translation. So any chitta, any is mano, is that reality. But when the translation mano, mind is used, then people don't appreciate that it also seeing is mano or chitta, hearing is chitta or mano, any chitta at all.
Is there, there's a difference between the mind door, that process which, the first mind door process, which is a photocopy, and the mind when we're using the term to represent
the object of the mind door process is the photocopy.
Is the photocopy.
Not the mind door process, the object, yes.
The object, okay.
The object experienced.
So it's not really right to call the mind door, the process after the mind door, we then, it's not just thinking, is it? Because shape and form is formed up in that process.
What do you mean the after the mind door? So the countless mind door processes, even that first one is a mind door process. They're all mind door processes,
right, yeah.
But the object is different of each mind door process. So the object of the first mind door process is that visible object or whatever reality was experienced through the sense door, its replica, because the visible object itself has fallen away. But
okay. And then after that,
then it's no longer that replica or photocopy. Then it's the shape, the form, and so on, until eventually it's the idea of Alan or whatever.
So even when we know how far away an object is, that's the mind door process is going on. That's not seeing. Seeing doesn't know anything about how far an object is.
Seeing just sees visible object, has no interest on how far or close or anything else. It just sees that visible object exactly as it is. No.
So we can say those mind or processes, so far or near, or where the sound is, or the pitch of the sound, or what the sound means. All of this is mind or processes.
The sound itself that is heard is just as it's heard. Its pitch, its whether it's far or near or high or low, that sound just as it is experienced by hearing and the citta through the ear door process and that first mind door process. But the impressions, the ideas, the thoughts about the pitch, the sound itself, those are through later mind door processes.
So these later mind or processes, we could just categorize them as it's kind of thinking. Then we could say it's sort of thinking, but there's different types of thinking.
We can call it, conventionally we call it thinking, but as Ajahn always stresses, what is thinking? Because if we look at what reality is thinking, the main reality involved in thinking is Vitakka Cetasika, and Vitakka, as we often discuss, arises with every citta in daily life, apart from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. Yeah. So even in the sense door process, there is Vitakka. So when we just say, well, it's all thinking later, this is just thinking. This is just conventional language to describe it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And Alan, I think Ajahn has often said that if the object is not a reality, then it must be a concept.
Yes. Yeah, that's makes it clearer, I think. It's either a concept or a reality. Yeah.
And one other use of Pabasara, Alan and Ajahn, is like Ajahn mentioned, usually when we're talking about Pabasara here, distinguishing it from Pandra, it's just referring to the Bhavanga cittas and the Kusala cittas that are not defiled at all. But it's also used in the text sometimes to refer to Nibbana. This is another use, Ajahn, okay. I think.
Mm-hmm. You say Kusala cittas, but not Sobhana citta. Did you mean? I've lost you. Yeah, not Sobhana citta, just Kusala citta.
I think in the text, like in that first sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, when it talks about Pabasara and the commentary, which we discussed in a lot of detail, Nina will remember, then it refers specifically to the Bhavanga cittas and Kusala cittas, those which are pure or luminous or radiant.
Right, okay.
And it talks about after the Bhavanga cittas, how when akusala cittas arise, it's like a parent who has naughty children and gets tainted by those naughty children. Their reputation is spoiled by the naughty children. But when it's kusala, then it's not tainted, it's radiant. So it's just very specific use.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else have a question they'd like to ask Ajahn?
Hi, hello, morning. Sawadee Krap Ajahn. Thank you for joining us today, as usual. I have some doubts about the yatanas and for example, tangible base when it is, because we know there are three realities are tangible object, and they impinge the body sense all together, and so they must be all three of them must be ayatana at the same time, and but only one appears to panya, either hardness or rutu or motion and so I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if what I'm saying is right. In first place, is it true that all three realities are ayatana at the moment of tangible base impinging on body base? Is it all three Mahabhutas, Rupas, all three of them are impinging on the body base? Is that right?
Can the Mahabhuta-rupas be separated?
No, they must arise together and fall together.
They are different ones, but they cannot be separated. They arise together and support each other. For example, hardness, if we don't call it tangible object, but it's hard and it cannot be seen, it cannot be heard, but it's there when there is touching. That's why we call that which is touched as tangible object, which can be touched. That's all. Only that. Just different objects. Because when we use the ruparamana, we mean only that which can be seen. No thing in it. No shape, no form, but only that which can impinge on the eye base. And seeing just see that at all. But thinking can think a lot after nimitta and panjati. But the seeing can experience just visible object. So even right now, visible appears, but no one can understand that it's not the tree. It's only that which impinges on the eye base, and seeing just sees it, only that, see? And when it's tangible object, it cannot be seen, it cannot be heard, but it's there when there is touching. So it's tangible object. And why there are only three? Because hardness, softness is a reality which can be touched. So sometimes it's soft, sometimes it's hard, depending on conditions. The same as heat and cold, and the pressure and motion. But where is the dhatu, apo dhatu, cohesion? It's there because it just what you can say, adhere or hold up the three together, that they cannot be apart or be separated at all. So whenever whenever there is touching, it touches just that which is hard or hot or motion or pressure. Only that.
Right. Yes.
Alberto, I think your point about the ayatana is, you were saying about all three, but any reality, any rupa is only ayatana when it's experienced. So at the moment of touching hardness, then heat isn't ayatana at that moment, even though it arises together with the hardness, because only the hardness is experienced.
Right. I was thinking maybe it's depending on the one which is prevalent at the moment when it impinges. If it's
but only one impinges. So at the moment when hardness is experienced, even though that we know there must be at least 7 other rupas arising together with it in the kalapa, they are not impinging. Only hardness is impinging. So hardness is the ayatana at that moment, because there is the coming together of the body sense, the chitta, and the hardness at that moment. Even though that hardness arises with the other rupas and is conditioned by them.
So Sarah, is it karma which also determines which of the three Mahabhuta Rupas are going to be experienced?
Well, the hardness itself has to have, at that moment, it has to have impinged on the body sense. At that moment, the heat or the coldness hasn't impinged on the body sense. It's the hardness which has impinged. And it depends on karma, whether there is the experiencing on that hardness which has impinged. Just like when visible object is seen, the visible object has impinged on the eye sense, and it depends on karma whether there is condition for seeing to see it. But it's the visible object that's impinged on the eye sense, not any other rupa.
But if in the kalapas is the hardness is prevalent over the heat and the pressure, then that can be that way which appears. But if in that kalapa, in that three Mahabhutas, the heat is prevalent, then will be heat appearing to the, would be the object, would be...
You say that which is prevalent, but it's that which has impinged on the body sense at that moment that can be experienced. So even though it may be even when the hardness impinges, the other rupas may have a very strong conditioning effect on that hardness, but it's the hardness that's impinged. Only one can impinge at a time.
I think only one can be the object, but
only one can be the object, yes.
But maybe they can impinge, maybe all three impinge on the body base. I don't know. Just maybe
the experience through the body senses of the rupa that has impinged on that, because there's body sense all over the body, so there may be other rupas impinging, but it's experiencing the one that has impinged at that moment, at that
that's right.
spot, location.
How many ajatana are there while one is sleeping?
2.
Is there ajatana or no ajatana at all?
Only 2 ayatanas when I'm sleeping.
So no doubt about that. Because when we talk about ayatana at moment of seeing, we talk about that which must be there at that very moment. But even when one is fast asleep, is there ayatana?
Yes.
See, so what is meant by ayatana?
The realities which
must be there.
Yeah.
So at moment of seeing, how many ayatana are there?
4.
What are they?
The eye base, the visible base, the mind base, and the Dhamma base.
At moment of seeing, how many ayatana?
4.
What are they?
The eye base.
Yes,
the visible base, the visible object. The mind base.
Pardon?
And Dhammayatana.
Dhammayatana, and what else?
Manayatana.
Manayatana. And while one is sleeping, how many ayatana?
Manayatana and Dhammayatana.
So whatever is real is there. But it depends on what we are talking about, different moments, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. What are there? It must be there. And what can be the object? See, when we talk about object, it's another thing. When we talk about ayatana, it's another subject. But they're all dhammas. And so while experience is the truth, no word whether it is ayatana or what, or dhatu or what. See, no need at all. But we talk about it in case that it will condition more understanding about no self, no one at all. They are Dhamma or Dhammas, and they do not appear clear yet until Panya is there and begin to understand a little bit of this or of that until all can be object of understanding of no self in a day, whatever appears. For example, at moment of seeing, who knows the Phassa Cetasika? Is it there?
Yes,
Is it ayatana? See?
yeah,
No need to
Dhammaya.
try to classify, but they are there, depending on what citta experience, what object. But there must be ayatana, that which is there too. Citta cannot arise without cetasikas. So it's there, but it's not manayatana, it is dhammayatana. So it's just the explanation of the truth of reality that they are not self at all. If we try so hard to understand it, what level of panya is there to understand that? Can it show up at level of intellectual understanding? And the point is not try to find out, but the point is understanding better and better that actually there's no one at all. And the self leaks and lurks every moment, almost every moment. And who knows when? Only Buddha told us about the details of each and different levels of each as well.
Can I ask a question? Oh, sorry.
Sure, go
Please.
ahead.
You've used the term inner and outer ayatana. Can we pinpoint the meaning of the word inner and outer? Because what does the inner mean? Seeing consciousness is inner ayatana, but it doesn't mean inside the body. What does the inner mean? Does it mean it's difficult to understand? Does it mean it's like being buried under the ocean that you can't see it? What is the meaning of inner and outer ayatana?
So, what about the innermost reality?
Seeing, Chitta.
Citta, see? Manayatana.
Yes.
Can it appear now? Even it's there now. But
No,
it does not appear as no self, no one, only the reality, because it's real, experiences. Whenever it arises, it experiences.
Yes.
And it's different from cetasika, so it is manayatana.
Yes.
Because without cetasika, it cannot arise. And cetasika, without citta, any cetasika cannot arise either. That's why manayatana and dhammayatana together. Because they are there. Whenever, whatever appears, it depends on ayatana. The other rupa has nothing to do at moment of seeing, except that the eye bears and the visible object, see, So these are the two ayatana at moment of seeing. But it doesn't mean that there is nothing else, only that there are many other things. But what is there at moment of seeing as ayatana, to be such ayatana, not other ayatana.
Yes.
That's
Why?
all. That's all. Otherwise, there's clinging. See? Very
Yes.
tricky, Lopa. Always here and there unknowingly that it leads you or anyone to such and such moment.
The word inside or inner, that's what. So we've got these two words, ayatana, but we've got inner. In what sense then inner?
For example, is citta ayatana?
Yes.
Is cetasika ayatana?
No.
Cetasika, not ayatana.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, it's ayatana, but it's not inner ayatana.
That's why the difference between citta and cetasika, because the innermost is citta. Even cetasika arises with it, but it's not citta. See, sometimes it's conditioned to arise, sometimes not. No conditions, but citta must be always there, never lost at all. From eons and eons ago, the
Yes.
falling away of the previous one conditioned the next one instantly, anantara paccaya. Impossible to have only one citta and then no other citta follows, except
Yes.
the parinibbana of an arahata only. See, no conditions at all to condition anything to arise.
Yes.
Or Alan, think of the cheetah as the chief in experiencing, like the king surrounded by his ministers, the king in his inner sanctuary with all the cheetah seekers, with all the attendants running around, assisting and coordinating and performing their different roles and functions. So the king is the innermost, the chief in experiencing. This is the role of cheetah, the leader.
Yeah, good analogy. Okay, thank you.
Is there Alan now?
Is there Alan? Only when there is thinking. There is reality now, and there is thinking now. So Alan lives at the moment of thinking about Alan.
What is Alan?
Alan is a word that represents certain characteristics of realities. So, for example, sound isn't Alan, it's real, but it has a characteristic, and we think about that characteristic as belonging to Alan, but Alan has no reality at all. It's just an idea conditioned by reality. So if there's no sound, there's no idea of Alan. So Alan is just the concept, the object of thinking.
Not real, right?
Correct, yes, not real.
This is the beginning of understanding anothernness. And the more there is the understanding of seeing, hearing, smelling, whatever is there as it is, less and less clinging to the idea of self.
Yes, because
And
if there's
now,
no thinking. Mm-hmm.
And now, what reality is taken for Alan?
Hardness is taken for Alan. Sound is taken for Alan. What is seen, the visible, what is seen is taken for Alan.
And
so reality is taken for Alan.
And what reality?
all realities experienced through the 5 doorways are taken for Alan, and the thinking as well. 6 doorways, realities experienced through 6 doorways are taken for Alan, because
And
Alan,
5 khandas, see, who
yes, 5
remembers
khandas.
now, who speaks now, see, who like now,
Yes,
who feel now, see, no one.
no one.
Mhm.
We have the khandas that 2 khanda, 1 khanda is sanya. Why is sanya its own khanda? Because why is it singled out from all of the other chetasikas as 1 khanda?
That's why there are 5, while there are so many realities. But Buddha said about khanda as the object of clinging, very distinctly, or whatever you call it. For example, you cling to rupa. There is clinging to rupa, right?
Yes.
Rupa is so very important in life, right?
Yes.
What you look for and want so much is rupa, is that right?
Yes.
So that's why if there is no understanding of rupa as it is, there cannot be less clinging to rupa and the idea of me or mine or self.
Yes.
That's why that without the understanding of rupa as it is, it's impossible to eradicate the clinging to the rupa as me or mine. Like my eyes, see?
Yeah.
My ears. This is one very clear clinging as upadana. So Buddha taught about realities as the upadana to that as khanda, which can be known in a day. Like rupa is known in a day, but not as no self. That's why he taught that even rupa, which is so dear very much and cling very much, is only that which arises and falls away, and it appears not as it is at all because of the rapidity of the succession of the arising and falling away. So it appears as something permanent, so pleasant to have it. That's why it's so very important to understand that rupa as 1 khanda, but because of clinging to that so much. Another is feeling, another khanda is feeling, see? Why do we want rupa for? What for? To have more and this and that. Because of different kinds of feeling towards different things. So feeling is very important in life, in one's life. One clings so much to the feeling. That's right. Out of the other reality, Buddha point to feeling as the upadana so much. So the 5 khandas are objects of upadana one by one, but they are all dhammas clinging to everything. But he point out to that which one clings so very much in the day, unknowingly, that actually one clings to nothing, because as soon as it's there, it's gone completely, never to return. No one can find it anymore at any time or anywhere. See, so one clings to that which is not there anymore. If there is no understanding of this, nothing can eradicate the clinging to the rupa. The rupa is 1 khanda, and the 4 nama khandas. The important one is feeling, and the other one is sanya, because of memory. It remembers the pleasant feeling, so it wants again and again, on and on, non-stop at all, to have pleasant feeling, and other as sankhara khanda, because they've just developed and conditioned different types of cittas, kusala and akusala. So they are sankhara khanda, rupa khanda, vedana khanda, sanya khanda, and vinyana khanda, citta. So as long as there's not understanding the feeling, which is all the different kinds of feeling, it's impossible to get rid of the idea of self or develop the understanding about realities as they are essential. That's why if there is no understanding of feeling, while feeling is there, it's the badana and akusala and avijja there. And also the second truth, the lopa.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you.
What is there now?
It's already gone, I think, by the time you said it. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Reality.
the teachings, the word of truth, condition, moment of understanding, that it can be known little by little.
Yes.
I have a question. Last time, Ajahn said, the arising and falling away is not experienced yet. But the truth is that the experience just a minute ago is now. It is gone so very rapidly. I did not quite understand that the experience a minute ago is now.
No seeing now.
Seeing now, yes.
And seeing a moment ago, is it the same as seeing now?
Not the same.
See, completely gone, absolutely gone, never to return. Where's the I? Where is it? It seems that it's there all the time, but actually it's not the same one, same moment at all. Different moments. So very fast. So just live like in a dream, the whole life, each life, until hearing the truth. That actually there is nothing before seeing that it's worthless. The life, the sankhara, is nothing, just nothing and then something and then nothing all the time. The flux of bhavanga interrupted by different doorways, one by one. That's all, until the death comes anytime by conditions and begin again by condition again, on and on, non-stop. Only Panya is there to see that it's so worthless to be just like this without anyone at all. Only different ones. Just once in samsara, see? Never again, never be the same at all. Well, there's no one, only different realities by conditions. That's why to see that life is worthless, why just arising and falling away all the time, must be vipassana jnana of high degree to end up life in samsara, from life to life, no more.
But we forget that the seeing next moment is a different one. It's really difficult.
So this is intellectual understanding, not yet the direct awareness and direct understanding with awareness of a reality at a time, different ones. But what in between the two cannot be known because they do not appear. But from his enlightenment, Buddha taught about the truth for us to begin to consider that there is so much ignorance which hinder the truth of what is there now. Very short moment of what appears and then disappears all the time, different ones. Never the same at all, from birth to death, each life. Where is Lodewijk now?
Oh, sorry. We don't know at all. In another plane of
Never be Lodewijk again at all. So as it's like that at death, it's like that now, even when it's alive, not die yet. Exactly the same.
I have to think that over. I don't quite get it.
As there is no Nina, there must be no Lodewijk, no one at all, only different realities. Is that true? This is the beginning to understand the truth.
We know at the end of this life that no more Nina, and we have the idea that now there is Nina at each moment, but actually it's a fantasy, because now what is seen is not Nina, what is heard is not Nina, it's just the imagination thinking about the idea of Nina now. So actually one moment of seeing, and at that moment that's the world, just seeing and the visible object that appears, no one there, no thing there at all. And the moment of hearing, just the sound appears. So it's just the conjuring trick that makes it seem that there is a Nina or a Sukin here now. But in fact, there never was and never will be. So no Lodewijk now, but there was never Lodewijk even now, just like there's no Sarah or no Nina now. Just moments of seeing, hearing and thinking, each one arising and falling away instantly. And I think the reason it's stressed so much is because, as Ajahn said earlier, if there's no understanding of what Rupa is, for example, how can there ever be less clinging to Rupa and less clinging to the idea of my hand, my body, my eye sense, myself and other people? So the reason it sounds almost tough, but the point of stressing that there are just different realities and there's never any Ajahn or Nina or anyone else is to indicate there are just Chitas, Chaitasikas and Rupas, and this is the only way that gradually there will be less clinging to the idea of someone here, myself, that's so important.
Yes.
And now, what is the absolute truth? See, is there the body or none at all? This is the absolute truth. There is only thinking, an idea that when there is the thinking that I'm sitting or I'm here or it's my leg or my hand. But when nothing appears, is it there? The body? See, in order to understand the truth as it is there is nothing, only that which appears at that very moment, while the other realities arising and falling away all the time. So nothing is there in the absolute truth. As long as it's still there, it's the idea of self, my leg, my hand, everything there. But until nothing there, just that which appears, see, well, as it is only one, then there can be the understanding of that clearly as it is not self, and later on there can be the moment of experiencing directly the arising and falling away. Even right now, see, it begins from hearing, considering, but there is seeing right now, while there can be hearing in between, or thinking a lot in between. So as there is the understanding of the different realities at a time, there can be moment of understanding just one, and then no attention to other one. So until only one appear to panya, because when it's panya, it can penetrate the truth of that one to know at that moment that there is nothing, and it appears as nothing else, only that one. That is the meaning of appear well, stage by stage, until then. So each word is to understand, that's all, as not self. And panya is not me, or understanding is conditioned. It's not always there all the time, but only when there are right conditions for different level of panya. It's not just saying there is no me, but reality can appear as there is nothing but only that which appear to right understanding, which knows that it's not self.
I know that many people are struggling, and I remember Maeve's question, how to reconcile the absolute truth and the experience in daily life. And I was reflecting on this, that the Buddha spoke about someone, a father, who was missing his son so much, who was in another place for the school, and he was thinking of the son. But I think maybe it's because we have to consider citta now. And what is citta now? Only citta, cetasika, and rupa. So I was wondering how to help someone who's struggling to reconcile conventional truths and absolute truths.
In the beginning, it's not I, what can I do? But the understanding of that, even one heard about the teachings of the Buddha about what is there now, but it cannot appear as it is so rapidly or quickly or as one wishes to have it. It depends on conditions. Without the understanding intellectually, it's impossible to have conditions for direct awareness to arise and to be aware with understanding. Otherwise, it's useless. Without understanding, it's no use at all. No understanding, no matter what is there. But understanding from the very beginning is very important, and it develops on and on to be conditioned for higher understanding, which is just about what appears now, not other thing at all. Because what can be known must be that which appears only, because the truth is that it arises, appears, and then disappears instantly. We don't mind at all whether that has gone or this is the new one or the next one, different ones. But as long as it's there to be known as it is, as not self, it is the beginning. And right understanding penetrate on and on until just only one reality appear to one level of panya. Before higher understanding, which is letting go the idea of self enough to condition the moment of experiencing the arising and falling away, firmer, more confidence on the truth, sattha, if you like to say, with panya. If panya is not there, sattha at that level cannot be there at all. See? So everything conditions one another each moment, all the time. But the truth is the truth. For example, there's no leg, no thing at all. When there is thinking of other thing, or when there is hearing, there cannot be the shape and form of leg and hands at all. Actually, there is no thing, only that which we take when it's there from memory of nimitta and panjati of what is so used in life, from life to life, as something. See, it has to develop on and on and on by conditions and have more confidence on no one at all. In reality, even it does not appear as it is yet, but one day when panya, letting go little by little, attachment to that as something, from hearing and understanding little by little, so very little that it develops unknowingly. Now, Sankhara Khanda, each cetasika performing its function. No one do anything at all. No one can, because actually there's no one. So it's all the matter of dhammas. We call it that which is real, which is conditioned, which arises and falls away so very rapidly and no more. All the time. This is the only way to have less and less, but very little detachment from clinging. So it's so natural in daily life, without desire, attachment, wanting anything to appear so quickly as different jhana, it's impossible. But at moment of hearing, listening to the truth, and have right understanding whether it's such and such, like as Buddha taught or not. Because without his words, can there be any moment of knowing it as not self, as only that which is conditioned? Otherwise it cannot arise to be just that and then fall away. Only once in samsara, whatever is experienced, only once. Is that not true? Only once, never the same at all.
So when the Buddha speaks in conventional terms to other people, we always have to remember that he points to absolute truth.
Now, see, from moment to moment, it depends on conditions. When there is more listening, considering to the truth of what Buddha said, no one can make it less or lost at all. It's there, depending on how much understanding develops from listening more, considering more, careful, more careful. But the truth is that actually there are only different realities, and just by conditions only. And conditions must be the absolute truth, citta, cetasika, and rupa. No one at all. It sounds very simple, just repeat it again and again and again and again. See, This is the way to just go on very little from moment to moment to attain the truth, the noble truth, which is so far, but it's so far to understand, but it's so close because it's now. What hinders the truth is ignorance and other akusala cetasika. So life does not change as much as quick from Putushana to the one who understands the truth. Impossible, because lots and lots of ignorance are accumulated. From life to life, eons and eons and eons, uncountable eons ago. So it needs what we call parami. So we understand what is parami. Without understanding, it cannot be parami. It's there all the time in samsara, not understanding anything at all. So parami has to be right understanding, which cannot grow so fast, but it needs the fertilizer and cultivation to cultivate it from hearing and considering again and again, more and more, little by little. Is it unhappiness? Quite a relief and release little by little from ignorance. It doesn't hurt to know, to understand the truth when it's understanding. But when it's lopa, cling to life and to circumstances, it's so sad to lose this and that and life and self.
We just have a little bit of time left. I'm just wondering if Tom and Bev, as you especially stayed up in the middle of the night, or anyone else has any question, anyone who hasn't spoken has any questions they want to ask Ajahn, like Robert or Maeve or Leanne or anyone.
Are you alone? Or are you with friends? Food for thought. The absolute reality, see, different from idea and thought about people and things. In life from birth to death, the world of nimitta all the time. But without the absolute truth, there cannot be nimitta and there cannot be panjati. Is there any moment which is alone?
We know intellectually, chitta or the chitta, no person.
Just when there's understanding, just at moments when there's understanding, at those moments only.
Yeah.
Alone, yes.
And this level of understanding is idea, but in truth, just alone, because nothing else is there, only a reality, which is experience. So there can be more and more understanding of the words, different words of Buddha, like loka, that which arises and falls away. Whatever is there, no matter you take it for something or no thought about it at all, but as long as it's there, it's loka, it arises and it falls away. So there are several loka because several Dhamma.
ท่านอาจารย์ครับสวัสดีครับ Hello
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะคุณตริน
ครับ when we hear the word absolute truth it's like it seems that we don't know anything at all so we need to depend on the words of the Buddha to condition understanding for us ครับท่านอาจารย์
That's why you
It seems
begin
that-
to understand who's the Buddha. See, only one, the enlightened one, supreme Panya. Otherwise, just say Samma Sambuddho. But what is that? That's why it needs the words of the Buddha to condition right understanding at moment of listening carefully and understand the words of truth about everything now.
So we start to understand the word parami ครับท่านอาจารย์ like there's
Yes.
no matter
yeah.
how slow once the condition is there it's there no need to be quick no need to understand something quickly but everything requires time understanding and right understanding to just understand one as one
Can Lopa be Parami?
Lopa cannot be parami ครับท่านอาจารย์
Mhm. Can Kusala without Panya be Parami?
No they cannot be parami ครับท่านอาจารย์
So there is the beginning of understanding about Parami. Why it's Parami? See, not self, but it is conditions for enlightenment, the truth.
And only panya can be parami and panya can only arise by careful consideration of the Buddha's words.
But there are not just one parami because only panya cannot condition higher panya. It needs other parami like virya and khanti and sattva and adhidana and other paramis as well. It's now parami.
When there's understanding ครับท่านอาจารย์
So it's now parami.
Yes, there is parami now.
With virya to understand the truth, sattva. With determination, resolution, adhidana, and khanti, patience. No matter what it is, very, very pleasant. But parami is moment of understand it as it is, as not self, but it is there. No one can change its characteristic. Or even when it's very bad feeling, it's there already by conditions, and it's gone completely. No one can do anything, cannot change it because it's gone completely. See? So it needs other parami as well. Because it's impossible just to have panya without other cetasika conditions like sati and alopa, adosa, amoha, and other wholesome cetasikas. So just live by conditions, see? No one can do anything because actually there's no one at all. All are different Dhamma, different realities by conditions only. That's why there must be understanding at different levels, pariyati, conditions, patipati, and then it conditioned the moment of as well by its nature, not by any. That's why Chetana, Chetika, even it's the way, but it's not the path, the eighth path. Skama is the path to different worlds.
So whether there's Chetana or no Chetana, Chetana is always there, but it is not the path.
It's not the Eightfold Path, but it's the path to different worlds, different bhumi. The way to be born as human being, or hell, or deva, depending on condition, it's karma. But it's not the Eightfold Path, see? That's why we have to consider the teachings carefully. Even one word is used and represent many meanings, different realities, different function, different characteristics, different levels.
That's a good point, Jan, that although Chaitanya is an eightfold path, it is a path because it's karma that leads to rebirth in different realms and life now as a human, for example.
So each word of the Buddha is the word of truth. It conforms with the other words.
Nina's point about the conventional teachings, but whatever we read, even we're reading the newspaper or looking at television, or there's still just different realities. So anything that the Buddha taught is about the realities, no matter the circumstances, no matter the lifestyle, no matter the activity. There are still only ever chittas, chaitasikas, and rupas, regardless. So for the wise who have been enlightened to the truth, no doubt, no question that whatever is occurring, there is just the different realities arising and falling away.
It's there already by conditions. No one can do anything at all. Can there be anyone to do anything? When there's no understanding, there's ignorance. It seems like all belong to me. But actually, they are conditioned realities. They are there already. Who can do anything? One at all. Because actually, they are only conditioned realities. Even such thinking is conditioned by many conditions. Wrong understanding or right understanding, kusala or akusala, wholesome or unwholesome. And this is life, no one at all.
Thank you very much, Ajahn. A very wonderful session, Anumodana, and thank you everyone else. My
great pleasure to.
Thank you.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับอนุโมทนา